Professionals in any field of work, what is the most ridiculous thing that anyone outside of your profession has claimed to know more about than you? Story 1. A lady brought her husband in for elective surgery and he required general anesthesia. She comes in with an old dog-eared book and asks to have a meeting with the surgery team. We humor her, and apparently she wanted specific anesthetic agents for her husband since she did research on all of them. All the agents she wanted were essentially removed years ago due to harsh side effects, or there were better medications. When I looked at her book, it was published in 1965. I don't know how I feel about people questioning doctors. The other day on here, a person told a story about how she got bursitis from some kids with anti-vax parents years and years ago. Her mom had to repeatedly shove it in the doctor's faces until they finally tested her for it. She almost died. I've read countless stories about stuff like that. And then there are loons trying to talk about highly technical stuff like anesthesia with a 1965 book. Story 2. I'm a welder. One of the biggest hazards I face is UV damage to my eyes from the electric welding arc. That shit is incredibly bright and just a glimpse of it can leave spots in your vision for hours at best. I once had some random guy try and tell me that only the initial flash is dangerous when you're welding, and after that you could strike an arc and you can just stare at it without any trouble at all. Commercial construction driver. I just had a guy serving from a food truck tell me he was welding on a dock in a lake, which was very dangerous because water becomes flammable under pressure. I told him that he was very brave. Story 3. After leaving a ring without jewelry for over 3 months, and after countless calls from us asking her kindly to come and collect her jewelry, finally turning up and telling us, "This isn't my diamond, you swapped my diamond. My diamond was completely different to this." She then proceeds to throw the biggest tantrum I have ever seen, refusing to listen to reason, disregarding our store's 75-year reputation. Thankfully, we keep meticulous records, including the weight of the ring, any flaws in the customer's diamond, and diamond measurements. Eventually, she realized it actually was her diamond. We got a sincere and heartfelt apology for all the hassle she put us and our other customers through. Just kidding. She left in a huff. Story 4. I'd like a hotel room. I'm sorry, we're sold out. Yes, but you always keep one of your best suites in case someone important comes in. No, I don't. So what would you say if President Obama came in right now? I would suggest he go back to his home, which is less than a mile away. No, people, I don't keep my best suite set aside for VIPs. If someone comes in and wants to pay me money, I sell it to them. That's how a business works. You don't find grocery stores hiding produce just in case. Hotels don't either. Story 5. Being any medical professional with literally anything, I had a patient once tell me she wouldn't do birth control because it caused AIDS. She was very polite about it and said that she understood that us doctors weren't allowed to tell patients the truth. Okay, lady, enjoy your 5th baby. Another lady did not believe me at all when I told her 7 C-sections was a dangerous amount and the 8th section could cause many complications to her and the baby. Well, they got 7 out easily, so what's one more? Well, it takes them a lot longer and longer with each section, so it probably got harder with each one. Well, I was there, so I would know. Okay. Story 6. I used to work in auto detailing. The one thing we never did was power wash the motor of a 90s model Jaguar. The electronics were sensitive, and the slightest amount of pressure would make the instrument panel light up like a Christmas tree. A dealer wanted us to clean this fleet of Jaguars, so we did. All 9 of them. He checked the motors and one of them still had a little dirt on it and he got pissed. He starts yelling at me, so I explained, "Jer, the electronics are super sensitive. The slightest amount of high pressure could cause the instrument panel to light up. We have to hand wipe the motor with wet rags and cleaner. Sometimes we miss a spot." He calls his porter over and tells him to bring that car around to the repair side and he'll clean it himself. He opens the hood, grabs a garden hose, and starts blasting the engine bay. "See? Clean." I say to him, "Absolutely." He goes and starts the car, looks down, shuts the car off, gets out, and apologizes. Story 7. I study sonar. When I tell people that, a surprising number tell me that there's no sound underwater. I mean, you don't need to be an expert in the field. You can just put your head underwater and hear sound. Story 8. Not me, but my dad. My dad's ex-Navy and has served on a whole bunch of ships, including HMS Antelope. He spent 2.5 years on that ship. My uncle, his sister's husband, tried to lecture my dad on how the Antelope carried nuclear weapons, amongst other bullshit things that my dad knew for a fact were not true. Dad asked Uncle how he knew such info. Uncle claimed to have seen the probably highly classified blueprints for the ship. My uncle was a fucking floor layer. Story 9. Optician. Woman brings her son in for an exam. Both have extremely high minus RXs. Mom is okay with her older son's RX and glasses order, but is mad about younger son's RX. She told us to order his glasses, but wants his RX changed to be less than the doctor's prescription. I told her I can't do that because I can't change the doctor's work. She's mad because she thinks the RX is too high for him because his eyes are like my eyes and my RX didn't change this much from my exam last year, so I don't want his that high. Story 10. I'm an airline pilot. I've had a flat earther get mad at me for not telling the truth about seeing the edge of the world. I honestly thought people made that shit up. Retired airline pilot, I had a guy upset with me for surely having seen UFOs and my unwillingness to admit it due to a code of silence. Still waiting for a chemtrail collusion accusation. I work in legal compliance in the financial industry. I run into people doing illegal shit all the time, claiming that it's the law. I couldn't tell you how many pieces of legislation I have read cover to cover and how long I spend making sure I'm up to date with any legal changes in my field. And yet, I still get this sort of thing. Me. Hi, a client has told me that she's been declined for a loan from you. Her. Yeah. We can't lend to anyone who uses your company. Me. Sorry. What? Why not? Her. It's against the law. Me. Which law? Her. It's the new law. Me. Could you tell me the name of it so I can check this? Her. Hangs up the phone. Story 11. Recently graduated from medical school, far from an expert, and now my family suddenly has a wealth of medical knowledge. Most recently, they have decided that almost any illness can be cured with laxatives. Story 12. Got in an argument with a woman at Whole Foods. She wanted to buy grass-fed pork. There is no such thing. Grass cannot support a pig. They have to eat a heavy grain-filled diet. Woman did not believe me or my 10 years of farm and meat-selling experience. Got to the point where I told the woman I would ship her a piglet so she could raise it completely on grass and watch it die from starvation. I don't do demos at Whole Foods anymore. Story 13. I've done research in both the Atlantic and Antarctic. Someone told me that polar bears hunt the penguins. I told them that they don't. He angrily replied, yes, they do. Polar bears only live in the north, and penguins only live in the south, so... Story 14. I used to work as an anthropologist for a tribe-run museum on protected Native American land. They had built a museum to display finds from excavations, spread knowledge about the history of the people, and also create a little revenue for the community center. Well, a local town, mostly white, upper-class families, took offense to our work. They claimed we were destroying the tribe's culture without any right by excavating. It culminated in a group sending the museum a letter where they basically said that the tribe members were not educated enough to understand how their culture was being destroyed and were simply not intelligent enough to make decisions in regards to activity on their land. That went over real well. Story 15. Am a family lawyer. Can't even tell you how many times I've had a client argue with me about child support. Client gets mad because their boyfriend, friend, coworker, whoever had a much lower child support payment. So it isn't fair and obviously I fucked up on the calculation. No, jackass. Yours is higher because you make more than your friend and your kids are in daycare. I've been doing this for many years and the calculation is done by a computer. I'm not using tea leaves and an abacus to calculate your support payments. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch our YouTube video. If you find our content helpful and enjoyable, please click the subscribe button to stay updated on any new videos we share in the future. Thank you once again, and we hope to see you in our next upcoming videos.